Well, greetings everyone, and welcome this Saturday morning to another edition of the Sports Crib Fantasy Show. I see my man Reg is down here in the queue and ready to go. But let's get a couple things out of the way. We got a little commercial stuff here. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe uh, to our channel. As you can see, we need a few more subscribers here. Subscribe, donate to our Cash App. As you can see it on the bottom, scrolling across, $ JEK3. And all proceeds go to our fantasy show and our sports crib show, especially towards our championship fantasy t-shirt. So, with that being said, let's get this show on the road. Let's get Reggie up here. Reg, how we doing this morning?
How's it going? Pretty good. I'm in this draft here with Bill. Are you in this draft? That Bill's got a draft going here at noon, and I'm in it. And I'm waiting for the draft to start, but I'm not really sure if there's like 17 teams. There's like a lot of teams in this draft. I'm looking at the draft. I see team 17, and I'm like 17 teams. Like, I guess we'll see what happens here, man. But yeah, I got a draft. That draft starts at 12, so I'll be multitasking here the last half hour or so of the show.
Well, depending on how things work out, but I guess even though it doesn't have any direct, I want to say, well, maybe it does, but what do you think? You guys all laughed at me when I start talking about Micah Parsons and Jerry's gonna do this. It's just a bargaining tool. Well, looks like Micah Parsons is now a Packer.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
And the thing that interests me, I mean, because it sounds really good. They got 2 first-round draft picks and another player, but where is Green Bay going to be drafting? Are they going to be drafted in the top 10? Are they going to be drafted down in the bottom like we do, like 22, 23? So
they might try to package that pick with something else, trying to move up.
Well, they got 2 first-round picks from the Packers. Mm-hmm. But, it would be different if the Packers were the Jaguars and they're picking in the top 5 because Cowboys have some needs.
They do. That's why I think that this is kind of a decent move, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that they should have paid Micah what Green Bay is paying him. I think that for a lot of people who felt that Jerry was going to overpay, wait too long and overpay, which has been kind of typical Cowboy MO. And I was kind of in that camp too. It seems like he tried to, but somebody just paid more. Like it seems like he attempted to wait too long and overpay, but somebody paid over what he was even trying to overpay. So I think it's a good move for the Cowboys, because if let's say that the headline comes out that the Cowboys have paid that kind of money with all the needs that you're saying that they need, right? They have more needs than Green Bay has. So, I mean, kind of makes sense in my opinion for where these teams are. I feel like Micah can help Green Bay immediately, and the Cowboys need quite a bit of help, and now even more so now.
He gave Dak $60 million. Let me repeat that. Jerry gave Dak $60 million a year. Remember when we talked about that?
We did, but I think that sometimes when we look in, it's kind of hindsight being 2020 when you look at a lot of these deals, and Kirk Cousins' deal is very similar when you're talking to a lot of people, because a lot of people, they think about where we are currently and don't think about where teams were when they were negotiating these deals. At the time, Dak was coming off of an amazing season. He was one of the top QBs, and a lot of teams would have
Heard
paid
when you
him.
gave him that contract.
Well, I feel like a lot of teams would have given him a sizable contract. So it's not like if the Cowboys didn't pay him, he would have been out on the street. He would have just left the Cowboys, and then we would have been talking about the Cowboys with no quarterback, and maybe they had paid him. Let's say that you just continue with Micah, and you still got Lamb and all these other players. If they don't have a quarterback, then we're roasting them for having all these other things and not having a quarterback. So I feel like you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, if you're Jerry, because if you let Dak walk out of there after having a season where I think that at that time passed for like over 4,000 yards, it would have been people would have been clowning you for that. So it's kind of, you get clowned for doing one or the other, it seems.
Okay, so now, not that, I mean, because I thought that the Cowboys made some significant deals for their back end. That's one of the things that we've always, it's always been about the secondary being subpar with the Cowboys. Right. So let's talk about a couple fantasy things. Now, suppose you have, let's say, Pickens and Dak, or let's say you got lucky and because Dak was way down in the quarterbacks, you could probably get him, round 10 or whatever, but Dak was way down. So let's say you got lucky, you got CeeDee Lamb, and then later on you got Dak. Does the absence of Micah affect your fantasy outcome for Dak and CD? Do you think that the offense will be taking less snaps on the field because the defense will be having to always catch up or make a stop? Or do you think that they keep their fantasy value?
Well, I think they keep it. I mean, is it going to have an effect? I'm sure it does, but I'm not sure if people who are choosing these players evaluate it as such. So just because Micah, you can look at fantasy drafts pre-Micah being traded and fantasy drafts post, and I don't think that CeeDee Lamb is going to drop off the face of the earth now, right? I don't think CeeDee was going in the top 10 of drafts. He's still going in the top 10 of drafts now, maybe he drops a couple spots, but I think that's going to be based on kind of preference of the person that's drafting. But I don't think people evaluate draft players like that, not in the same way that you would evaluate the offensive players like McGarry. When McGarry got hurt with the Falcons, major loss for us here in Atlanta. So when he got hurt, that does affect your offensive players. It affects the way that you look at it. It affects the way the Vegas looks at it. It affects the way the offense is going to run in general, especially when you have a player as good as McGarry. So I feel like those things have a bigger effect than the defensive players. I do think there is some effect there, but I don't know that people are kind of taking these things into account and adjusting their draft positions based on it.
Okay. What about the effect on the NFC North? I mean, not talking fantasy value now, talking actual, the effect on that division in itself. Micah Parsons moving in. Does Green Bay move up in your rankings in the NFC North? I still have them third.
Behind the Vikings and the Bears?
Yes.
Or behind the Vikings and the Lions?
The Vikings and the Lions. But,
okay. And then you got the Bears behind them. And the Bears could be a team. You never know. The Bears could end up surprising, man.
Well, see,
over there, they could end up being a wild card situation. You never know.
I had the Bears before. Now that Parsons is part of Green Bay, I moved Green Bay up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's a competitive division.
I put them above the Vikings.
It's in my opinion, that division is a wild card division because of two wild card kind of quarterbacks in two different situations. So we have Caleb Williams. You don't know if he ascends and takes that step, the Bears could really be something. If Ben Johnson really turns out to be the quarterback whisperer there, and Caleb takes another step, I thought his first year was solid, but it would be nice to see him improve on that year. So if Caleb Williams is able to do that, the Bears are going to be better than people think. And the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. We got to see what J.J. McCarthy really is. If he comes out, Vegas does like J.J. McCarthy. If he comes out, he's got the weapons. They could be a better team. So the wild cards at the quarterback positions there makes that a harder. I'm not going to really be able to competently get a feel for that division until I see a few games from these players. I got to see what they look like. Caleb, of course, I've already got a decent sample size with, so less games from him, but probably at least 8 games from the kid McCarthy, though. I got to see him for a while before I know if he's the real deal or not. And you really don't even know in the whole first season, James, to be honest with you. I mean, you kind of get the second season when teams have tape on you for a full year, and they can game plan for you. You really get to see who's really made of it out here and separate the men from the boys. So it could end up being an interesting division, but I think that Adam Micah definitely helps Green Bay without a doubt, 100%.
All right, well, let's talk a little fantasy here. I got ESPN Sports. I'm going to kind of use them for our fantasy
For your ADP
tiers, for our tiers here.
Okay.
So of course we know we got in the first tier, Allen, Jackson. Now they have Hurts and Daniel.
So we're talking quarterbacks now.
Quarterbacks. We're gonna go quarterbacks first, and then wide receivers, then running backs, tight ends, and by then it should be about time. But so we'll start out. Now, do you consider, of course, Allen and Jackson, of course, but now Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts are the other top tier number one quarterbacks. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it's going. That's how it's going, and it's going kind of. Jaden Daniels is creeping up. I've seen Jaden Daniels be listed as high as the second quarterback. Josh Allen, I think, have seen unanimous first quarterback. Some people do like Lamar Jackson better, but I think Josh Allen has been what I've seen as a consensus number one quarterback. And then Jaden Daniels and Lamar are kind of jockeying for that second position, but I've seen Lamar taking more at that second position than as the second quarterback than Jaden Daniels. But I have seen it, so it's not crazy. The tiers work better because of preference, James, because you might have team players that want to take this kind of player. So if they want to take that kind of player, it helps to know at least the tiers so that maybe you do like Jaden Daniels over Lamar Jackson, but they both are players that are going to give you the rushing upside. So that's why they're on the same tier. Same thing with Jalen. I think what puts Jalen Hurts, and he's definitely – if there's a tier separator from what I've seen there, I haven't really seen these guys on the same tier. I've seen Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels floats between that tier and then down to the next tier where you got Jaden Daniels. But then I have seen a separation between Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, though. I've seen separation between those two. But the tush push will always make Jalen Hurts a viable fantasy asset. So if you can't get one of these other guys, Jalen Hurts, I don't feel bad going into my week after week with Jalen Hurts at the QB position if I have to do so.
Okay, tier 2. Joe Burrows, Bo Nix,
okay,
Patrick Mahomes, and Baker Mayfield. Now,
so it's interesting because I really feel like those other people should be in tier 2. If this is really tiered, we're using ESPN, but I have to put this out here. If you're using tiers and you're going to go tier 1, tier 2, they really should be tier 1 should only have like tier 2 couple players like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then that should break. So our tier 1 in this particular case should have broke down to 2 tiers. And then we should have these guys that we're talking here, Joe Burrow now, they should all be on the 3rd tier. Or you know what I mean? We should be on the 3rd tier because Jalen Hurts, they're all those players are definitely all above. But I do think that we're getting to where you see this considerable distance between these guys. Because if you get to Jalen Hurts, maybe even Joe Burrow, and I kind of feel like Joe Burrow's the last guy here, James, that if you get to, that means you're kind of punting QB. You're going to take a lot of other players now. Now you're going to take wide receivers. You're going to load up on running backs. You're going to get a tight end. You're kind of punting QB, and then you're getting down to some of these other guys like your Bo Nix's of the world, who are still being listed as great guys that you can take. Just had to put that out there because it seems like just 2 tiers, but in what I've seen, we've discussed maybe three tiers or so.
Well, I got a 3rd tier, so maybe we should have 6 guys in the 2nd tier.
Yeah, I feel like if we were to add another person to the 2nd tier, I would add put Joe Burrow up there, but then I would separate Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, maybe even Jaden Daniels out of that tier, up to a tier above that, because that's kind of like where the drop off is happening. You know, you're getting drop off with these players, James. And have them in the same tier is kind of like if you got Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels in the same tier, that just doesn't. Or even Jalen Hurts. I don't even think they should be in the same tier. But Joe Burrow, excellent QB. I won my fantasy championship with Joey B last year, so not a bad option whatsoever.
He played 17 games last year.
Not a bad option. If Joe Burrow, same thing. If I'm going into my season with Joe Burrow as my starting QB, I'm not upset about
that. What about Baker?
Baker had like 40 touchdowns last year, man, in that Tampa offense. It's another situation where these guys to me are guys where you're not selecting a QB 2nd, 3rd round. So if you're going to select a QB 2nd, 3rd round, you're probably sticking to the Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jacksons of the world. You're getting those guys in that range. Now, once you get the 4th, 5th round, you got kind of in the Burrow range here, you know. But if I'm going with Baker, I'm probably going to have already drafted a couple of wide receivers, couple of running backs, maybe even a tight end, and then I'm circling back maybe for Baker around there. But not bad, just depending on your build, James, because all these, as we're talking about, these guys, especially as we get through like the top 15-ish or guys or so, they're all decent guys to have the QB position, depending on how you built out the rest of your team.
Okay, now we're getting down to tier 3. These are what they call low-end QB ones. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 5 of them here. But I want to know... Okay, let me talk. Let me tell you who they are first. Brock Purdy.
Okay. These are the 3rd tier. We're in the 3rd tier, right?
We're in the 3rd tier.
Okay, gotcha.
Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Dak Prescott. Justin Herbert. And Justin Fields.
Okay, so Justin Fields, I actually took him in one of our drafts where I did a running back kind of build, and I feel the same kind of way about this. These are all the QBs that you're kind of looking at. Is Jared Goff in this tier or no? Did you not name Jared Goff, or did you not name Patrick Mahomes? None of those players.
No, Patrick Mahomes was in the tier above. There's no.
So I missed Patrick Mahomes. So in the Patrick Mahomes tier, was he in the Joe Burrow tier? Is that the
tier?
Yes,
he was in tier 2.
Okay. Which
tier
is
2 tier 2, Joe Burrows, Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, and Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
So
all
now
right.
So now we're in tier 3. Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert. You ask about Goff. No, he's not in this tier, and neither is Matt Stafford,
nor Drake May.
nor Drake May.
Interesting, because I mean Drake May is creeping up around here for me. I think Drake May gives sneaky upside for him. So I don't know if I take him as my QB1, but if I gotta take him as my QB2. But if I'm punting QB all together and I'm just loading up on other positions, then I mean I would take any of these guys. I have Jared Goff and Justin Fields paired in one of my drafts where I punted QB. So I have rushing QB and Justin Fields, who has top 10 quarterback upside, from a rushing standpoint. Maybe not real life quarterback standpoint, but from a fantasy standpoint, he's always done pretty well. But I got him paired with Jared Goff, though. Somebody who's completely opposite of Justin Fields from a game standpoint. But I don't think any of these guys that you've named are bad. I took Brock Purdy last year to pair up with Ayuk. It was an absolute nightmare, but he did deliver some games for me. But we're kind of getting into where I do like some of these other quarterbacks better. So if you are taking some of these QBs, because you can get some of these guys pretty late, I hope that you've already loaded up your team with a bunch of other quality players.
Are you surprised that Justin Fields is that high?
No, because Justin Fields is a much better fantasy quarterback than he is an actual quarterback. He always has been. Justin Fields, if you look at Justin Fields statistically, he always finishes in the top, I want to say at least half, the top 50%. He may finish in the top 12 of fantasy quarterbacks consistently when he plays because of his rushing. So, no, it's not surprising at all that he's about where he is about fair for him, because these are quarterbacks that I said before, once we were going into like the Baker Mayfields, and that was a tier above, right? I even said we're going into those quarterbacks that hopefully you've already built out your team, but a couple running backs, couple wide receivers, something like that. You've already kind of started to build out your team. When you get to these players, these quarterbacks, you definitively need to have done that. If you're reaching for these guys, do not draft these guys early. If you're reaching for these guys, that means you're pushing quarterback off a bit. You should have loaded up your team with other players. You can't get to a team where you got Justin Fields, you got a couple tight ends, a kicker, a defense selected, or something like, you need to definitely have had loaded up your team and then gone for these players.
Okay, now tier 4, which they consider a high-end QB2s, and I'm only going as far because of some of the guys that you asked about. Drake May is in this tier.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love is in this tier.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, and Jared Goff.
Yeah, all of your solid QB2s, man. I mean, I think a solid QB2 to me, and the reason why I like Jared Goff is he's a model of consistency. So at least you know what you're going to get there a lot of times from Jared Goff. Like, he can give you more, but there's like kind of there's a floor for him. He has a high floor. And I like that, where some other quarterbacks can be great one week and then just fall off the face of the earth another week. Some of these guys will just give you steady production at the quarterback position. So if you're just looking for that, not having to stress about it, a guy you can just throw in and kind of set it and forget it, and have a loaded wide receiver core or loaded running back core or something like that, or both, and there you go. Your game management type quarter QBs, your guys you just want to put in there and just have you give you a consistent performance without the rapid ups and downs. Because, you had a lot of those games where you expected, I think why Patrick Mahomes got moved into this tier was that last year he had games where he would have like 12 points. And a lot of your top tier QBs just don't have performances like that. So that's kind of where he got dropped down, and maybe he moves back up a tier, but a lot of your top QBs aren't usually giving you games like 10, 12 points. Well, I don't think that's going to be his case this year, though.
In most leagues where I was able to get Joe Burrow, and usually I drafted Joe Burrow. If he fell to the third round, I picked him up on the third round. Some cases the fourth, but usually the third. And I try to pair him with either Jared Goff or Matt Stafford. and that was because of their wide receiving cores and the fact that Joe Burrow's, I believe his bye week is week 10, and Matt Stafford and Jared Goff are week 8. So you had a chance to play, Burrow for, all the way up to his bye week. And then if you only needed, Stafford or Goff for 1 week, I felt that, especially Stafford, when you got, you got, what did they call them? Sonic
Well, is that what they're calling Puka?
no. I'm talking about no. I'm talking now about the Lions. What did
Oh,
they
you were
call
talking
them?
about what Montgomery and
Yeah, yeah,
Gibbs, Sonic
yeah.
Brothers.
And
Okay.
then you have of course Brown and Williams. You know, and a tight end is not too bad. Sam Porter. So I felt for a QB2 that was fine. But you're pretty content with the way these first 4 tiers are going for QBs?
Yeah, I feel like they should be some separation there, but I get it. I mean, if you're new to drafting or you're not really used to drafting like that, that's not a terrible. The only thing that I would add is that I feel like there should be some more tier separation between some of these, but it's not a bad list and kind of on consensus with who fantasy folks feel are the top QBs. So nope, not bad so far. And if I keep looking down, 3 minutes my draft starts, so I'm gonna keep looking down at my draft tier board to see where I'm drafting at. It looks like
Okay.
I really do. I really think there might be 17 teams. I'm gonna count the teams up,
Would you
and I
play
just can't believe that this
14?
week. One, two, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
It would have to be an odd. It
8,
would have to be an even
9,
number.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But it says team 17. That's the name of the team, is team 17. It's weird, man. We'll see. Because you're right. It would have to be at least 16 teams, right?
Yeah,
One,
I
two.
thought it would have to be an odd number. I mean, an even number. So let's go to Cabal's running back tier here. So let's see. Moving on. Okay, tier 1, and this should be really good because I see a lot of uh, rookies in here. But
Okay.
I'm sure this is going to make you very happy. Tier 1. They call this early to mid first round. Number 1, Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Jameer Gibbs. Number 3, Derrick Henry. Number 4, Ashton Jeanty, the rookie from the Raiders. And number 5, Saquon Barkley.
Okay. That's about on par, except that now Bijan, from what I've seen in a lot of drafts, has dropped to probably the third behind Gibbs and Barkley because of the McGarry injury. So I have seen Bijan drop a little bit. Before the McGarry injury, for sure, he was consensus number 1. And then even before the McGarry injury, you had some people who prefer Gibbs. So they were taking Gibbs over Bijan even before the injury.
I was one
But I
of
think
those.
now it's definite that a lot of people are taking Gibbs over Bijan because of the McGarry injury. But at the end of the day, these are still all top tier backs, so you never know.
What do you think about Ashton Jeanty, the rookie?
High
Yeah,
hopes, man.
that,
High hopes. He's been in the top draft. Ashton Jeanty has been going in the top of these drafts since the summer, pretty much since he's been drafted. So that there's been a lot of faith in Ashton Jeanty from pretty much the beginning of the summer drafts to where now. Sometimes in these drafts you see a lot of movement. Sometimes you see no movement. And with Ashton Jeanty has consistently been a first round pick from or a high second round pick from a player standpoint. So
is the
yeah,
Raiders'
man.
offensive line that good?
I think people just feel like Ashton Jeanty's that good. That's what I think. People are just putting a lot of faith into Ashton Genty is what's happening here.
I mean, they do have the young tight end. So
Bowers.
yeah, they have Bowers. From what I hear, Myers wants out. Right? Is it?
Jacoby, is he asking out?
I thought he was. That
Okay,
was the
let's
last.
look at it and see.
So it, but they do have. Are they the ones? No, I think that's Chicago that has a young kid Burton. I forgot. But the Raiders
Yeah, it
have.
is at wide receiver.
Yeah. The, if well, what are your expectations for Gino?
I think Gino's going to be Gino. Like he's competent at the quarterback position. Like you got a competent guy you can pencil in who's going to go out there and do what he does. I think that it's an upgrade from what you had. But does that mean now that you're better than the Chiefs or better than the Chargers? I don't know. That's a heavy lift even for Gino. Like that's a heavy lift to think that now all of a sudden you're better than these teams. But I think that you are better, if that makes sense, than you were last year.
Okay, now
But to see that come to fruition, but I mean, I think they will be.
Okay.
So, is this going? Am I picking here? What's going on here, man?
Tier 2. Bucky Irving.
Okay.
Ashan. What's the kid from Miami? Ashane.
Devon A-Chain.
Yeah.
Who took a hit because I think injury or something like that. He's taking a hit because he had an injury, and I think he still may have that injury. But he was going higher initially.
Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs.
Okay. No problems here. No Derrick Henry. Did we say Derrick Henry already or no?
Derrick Henry was in tier 1.
Okay, so give me all tier 1 again, because I'm missing players. You say I didn't hear Derrick Henry when you said it. I heard Gibbs. I heard Bijan. Was Genty tier 1 also?
Robinson was number 1.
Okay.
Gibbs was number 2. Derrick Henry was number 3. Genty was number 4. And Saquon was number 5.
Okay. All right. So I feel like if you're able to start with any of these backs, because I feel like I'm trying to think of where kind of the first round stops. And I'm thinking with those backs you just named, the tier 1 backs are good because I feel like that's where the first round back stops. Like some of these are second round back, even Genty high second round in some picks, if you're picking on the turn, or when, deeper leagues player wise. But I don't see any problem with any of these other backs either. Like let's say you started with a wide receiver, you got to come back and get any of these backs. I don't think you're upset. So no issues from me here.
Yeah. I still think that Taylor is a question mark. I'm not sure if I would put Taylor up here. Inconsistency, plus it's the Colts. So I'm not sure if I would have Jonathan Taylor up that high, because when you consider now, here's something that's very interesting, because tier 3 is considered only one back, and that's Christian McCaffrey. He's rated at number 10.
It's interesting. High ceiling pick right there. McCaffrey in some of these drafts is like the wild card. He's floating up and down draft boards in that sense. Like, I mean, I've seen him going as high as mid to late first round. The 10th back would indicate that he's going later than that, though, for sure. And I could see that, but I don't know if that's coming to fruition in fantasy drafts. I have to stay away from McCaffrey this year because I drafted him last year and it was a disaster. So I have a thing about drafting players back-to-back years. Once I've had a disastrous year, with a player. So of course he could definitely go off for anybody who does draft him this year. But 10, it's understandable. I'll say understandable. I don't know that he's actually, if you want McCaffrey, I'm not sure if you should bank on him being there that late in drafts, though. If you're actively pursuing him.
All right, now tier 4, which they're considering in rounds 3 and 4. Okay, so number 11 is Chase Brown. Number 12 is Kyron Williams. And number 13 is James Cook.
I am a fan of I'm a fan of James Cook as well. I think both of these, I mean, they kind of deserve to be in that other tier above.
Yeah, I would have made this all one tier to me. There would have been 4 backs in this tier. McCaffrey, Brown, Williams, and Cook. I would have made this.
I agree. Because I don't know if McCaffrey deserved to be in a tier all by himself, because you can argue for McCaffrey being moved up a tier himself. You can argue for McCaffrey if McCaffrey gets moved up a tier, I feel like that's more indicative of where he's going with around the guys that are in that tier above McCaffrey. He's going more around there. And then you move these guys that you just said up a tier, Kyron Williams, all them move up a tier, because I think it indicates more of where there will be when you draft versus just looking at these tiers and thinking, oh, well, McCaffrey's a 10th rated running back. He'll be here later. And then you get there and he's nowhere to be found. And, same thing with some of these other backs. So some of the other backs are pretty good backs, especially if they're like your running back too. Like that's great. And if you are a punting running back, or you kind of started with a couple of wide receivers, then you want to make these guys your running back ones, then, strategy also.
Oh, what number are you drafting, Rich?
I'm drafting late, but I'm not drafting. Like, nothing's happening here. It still says pick 1 is picking, right? We started this draft 8 minutes ago. So I don't know if these are 10 minutes per pick. I'm not sure exactly how long it's taken team 1 to pick, but I have not drafted one time. I'm very far back in this draft. So at this rate that we're going, it's going to take me, I won't be drafting until like 2:00 at this rate. So I don't know. Maybe I'd queue up some players. I'm kind of confused here. I need to look at the rules here, the draft rules, and see exactly what are the draft.
It's going to be complicated. Bill's not going to make it simple.
Yeah, because it's round 1, and it's just, I don't know what's going on here. I'm about to turn
I got an invitation to, but it was too many teams for me. I don't like to do anything more than 12.
So you knew it was more than 12 teams yourself. You already were aware of that.
No, I was just aware that it was Bill.
Well, here I am, and I just don't know if this is are we going to pick for the week? Does this draft taking place over the next week? You have those slow picking fantasy drafts where you got 24 hours to make a pick, and you could just sit there. Everybody's picking throughout the day. I'm like, I could knock this thing out in about 15, 20 minutes, man, if I had to.
I've had a couple of email drafts, and those, like you said, they tend. I think one lasted 3 days or something like that. But anyway, tier 5. Since we're leaving Christian there by herself, and this is, I got some real questions about this one. But anyway, here we go. Number 14 is Alvin Kamara. Number 15 is Chuba Hubbard. Number 16 is Kenneth Walker III.
Okay.
Number 17 is Omarion Hampton.
People love Omarion Hampton, man. But Najee's back, ladies and gentlemen. Najee is back. Don't let the hype fool you. I think Najee's back in practice.
That's another thing. Najee's back in practice. Kamara, I'm really. I mean, I know he's up there every year because he's the only back that the Saints have. But this year, I mean, what are you expecting from the Saints? Uh,
I am expecting them to hopefully lose every game as a Falcons fan, but I will be objective here. It depends on who the quarterback is. I'm hearing that Rattler might get the start there. It's
well,
interesting.
so far they said that Spencer's the starter at least for week 1.
That's interesting because I when it comes to these, when people say, how do you feel about teams that have these quarterbacks? Even and I said even Caleb Williams on his second year, within your first couple of years, it's just such a wild card. You just do not know because you have to see. So what first year especially, you just got to see it because you can have players that were exact opposite, great in college, terrible in pros, or mid in college, but decent or great in pros. So I don't know how Rattler's going to do. Rattler looks okay, but he just looks okay. I mean, he doesn't like a world beater. Like, he just looks okay. So depending on how Spencer Rattler goes, then the Saints will go. But they weren't really that great last year. And unfortunately, in my division, the Bucks have just owned this division. So
do you do you think that the other kid is better, slow or
Tyler Shaw, or
yeah?
I mean, evidently not if he's not winning the starting job. I mean, I can see, and this is no knock on Spencer Rattler, but I can see if you had an established guy back there, like a Matt Stafford or somebody back there that you had to try to beat out, right? And then you don't beat out Matt Stafford. Okay, I get it. But if you're not beating out Spencer Rattler for the starting job, that's not exactly, I mean, it's not exactly Peyton Manning back there. So, I mean, well, from what the Saints are seeing in the in camp and in the preseason games thus far, they don't seem to trust him more than Rattler. So, guess we'll see. I mean, I'm still interested to see what Rattler has, to be honest with you, because we still got to see with him. They're kind of stacking up these we'll see guys, right? Like, imagine having like a JJ McCarthy coming in and you stacking him up with a Cam Ward or somebody behind him. Like, you got we'll see guys behind we'll see guys.
Chuba Hubbard, you surprised that he's this high?
No, man, Chuba was great, man. He's a great back. I think he might have been my second back on that championship team. I got to go back that I won last year. Chuba, sneaky good back, man. So if you had a couple of great wide receivers, and then you paired them with a Chuba Hubbard or something like that, you're in good position, man. You're in great shape. I still have not drafted, by the way, so I'm not sure. I don't even know. I'm going to text Bill or email Bill here in a second and be like, hey, do I need to just plan on this thing being completed by like next Thursday or before the season starts, or it's got to be completed before the season? Maybe this is a till season start draft. Well, I'll email Bill, and maybe by the time we do the show next week, I'd already drafted this team. I don't know.
Kenneth Walker the third. Now, we all know about his ability, but to me, can he stay healthy?
I think that's why the Charbonnet becomes such a premium premium handcuff, like, because Charbonnet's premium cuff, kind of like Algier is in Atlanta, because Algier is 1,000-yard back. Premium cuffs, man. I mean, you're one injury away, but you kind of need the injury for Charbonnet to be relevant. But he seems to become relevant every year. So maybe if you decide to bank on Kenneth Walker, you decide to bank on that Seattle backfield in general, you take Charbonnet as a cuff somewhere in there.
What about Amari Hampton? Like you said, Najee's still hanging around there.
Najee's situation scares me with that, and the fact that he's a rookie. I mean, you really don't know. You don't know till you know with these guys. So there's that, right? You just don't know. You don't know till you know. And the fact that he is playing kind of behind Najee, we don't really know the role Najee's going to have. And the fact that Najee's back at practice, I liked Amari Hampton a lot more before Najee was back at practice. Najee's back at practice. I don't like Amari Hampton as much. But I'm kind of going with the fantasy gods here. The fantasy gods like Amari and Hampton, so I'm kind of at their mercy here. They know more than I do. They watch more of the guy than I did. And he is in that Harbaugh offense, so you do bank on guys like that. But with Najee being there and Najee being back, and I heard he was catching passes or something like that too. It was like, that's not great for the Hampton owners.
Okay, now we have here, and I don't usually go this far, but I got some backs here that I took above these tier, the guys I just mentioned to you,
Okay.
and this includes James Conner, Brees Hall, the new kid up in New England, Trevion Henderson, Aaron Jones Sr., David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, and Isaiah Pacheco. Now, some of these guys, for instance, I might have had Connor above Kenneth Walker and Omari.
Okay. Connor, model consistency. I think the age may scare people with Connor. You're always looking at that age 30 cliff. I think he's about right there, and it's always such a serious cliff. So maybe that scares some people. I think these are all high in RB2s, though. If you have these guys, let's say you already got a Bijan, you already got a Barkley, and then you turn around and get Pacheco or somebody like that, I don't think that you're upset about that. I mean, it's high upside there. These are high upside guys, because with these guys, you can have weeks where they can be really literally win weeks for you and win championships for you if they perform up to what their ceiling is, which is kind of what you're looking for in fantasy. You're just taking ceiling shots. It is interesting to see Amari Hampton above some of these guys, but I think that it's just you're getting into preference kind of once you get down here, James. You know what I mean? In these areas, like who do you prefer? What offense do you prefer? What from your team equity? How many Cardinal players do you already have on your team? You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of things start to go into taking some of these players once you start to get into the meat of the draft and just some of these rounds. But these are all not mad players. These are players still. We're still in the not mad category for me. Like I'm not mad if these players are on my team.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I kind of like Connor. He's, consistent. That's the, even if he is, his age is one thing. I do understand that, but I do feel that his consistency also kind of makes up for that. Aaron Jones, I'm not sure, that I would have put him this low. Of course, David Montgomery is RB2, so I can kind of understand that. Brees Hall, this might really be the year for Mr. Allen. I'm surprised.
I think that it's people. I think also discounting that Jets offense. Also, James, to be honest with you.
Well, but you just had high marks for Justin Fields.
That's because Justin Fields has performed no matter what offense he's on. And a lot of times, and I hate to say this, that is Justin Fields is the reason why the running backs get downgraded, the wide receivers get downgraded. Everybody gets downgraded except Justin Fields. Because for one, Justin Fields calls his own numbers. If Justin Fields is on your team, that's not necessarily great for your running back. He calls his own number, which is why his fantasy level is elevated, because he does call his own number. So if you have Justin Fields, you're happy. But if you have Brees Hall, you're not as happy. So that's the situation with Justin Fields. That's what kind of makes Justin Fields ranked a little bit higher and degrading kind of some of these other players where they would have been ranked a little bit higher otherwise. If you had Aaron Rodgers here, Brees Hall is a higher ranked back instantaneously.
Okay.
And you like Braylon Allen, you're saying too. I had Braylon Allen last year,
I just think that sooner or later they're going to go with the young guy, and I think he has more upside right now.
Okay, let's see. Team 1 still has not picked, so I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm not even sure if this draft is really even taking place, to be honest with you. Team 1 has not picked here. I'm just going to get a notification, say, hey, notify me when it's my turn. I'm not sure when that notification is going to come. Might come mid next week sometime.
I was trying to find the tier for wide receivers here.
We have to run through those. I only got about 10 more minutes here. I got to run.
Okay.
But I can run through some of the wide receivers because I feel like the wide receivers are pretty deep this year, guys. So depending on how many, because a lot of times with a lot of these players, when you talk about these tiers too, team makeup, guys say it all the time. A couple things: score. What is the scoring system in your league? And how many of these players can you draft? Can you draft 4 wide receivers, or can you start 4 wide receivers? Can you start 3 running backs? Does it have 2 flexes? Like in this example, 4 running backs can be started here in this league with Bill. It looks like at least 3 to 4. Let me look here because he has a couple flex spots, but the flex spots I think are specific. You can't start anybody in those spots, but you got to pay attention to those situations and how your setups. But wide receivers pretty deep this year, James.
So, who are your top 5 wide receivers?
It's going to be Chase. I want to say Chase. I like Lamb, Jefferson in this range personally, but a lot of people like neighbors above. So if we're towing tier, you say top 5. Let me just give you my 5 tier, and if I'm doing like a tier, and you can kind of move them up and down how you like. But Chase is kind of going 1 in a lot of these drafts. Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, neighbors, and I like St. Brown over Nakua. Personally, I like St. Brown over Nakua because of the Matt Stafford's back situation. But if you wanted to switch out Nakua there and take out St. Brown and drop him down to 6, then you can.
So you have St. now. So what was your reasoning for Jefferson?
Having him in my top 5?
Yes.
Because he just always performs.
Okay.
It's like the consistency that you're talking about, right? Like
but
certain guys just always perform even when they're injured.
Okay.
They'll have injuries, and then you look at their years, they come out pretty decent. Now, I just feel like if you have Jefferson and you get the privilege of putting him in week after week, then I think that's just a great thing to have. And I definitely like Chase Lamb over him, but I don't think I'm taking many more people. I don't know if I would take St. Brown, because St. Brown would be in my top 5 and neighbors would be in my top 5 as well. So my top 5 wide receivers would be Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, neighbors, and St. Brown. But if you wanted to start your team with any of these guys, if you can talk yourself in any of these guys, it's not crazy. Like if you want to talk yourself into Jefferson being the last of this list, and then you want to take Lamb first, Chase first, and these other guys, it's understandable. Jefferson was falling to the end of the draft. At my home league, Jefferson went at the end of my draft last year, but that guy ended up winning the league also.
Okay. Well, here's the tier 1 that from ESPN: Jamar Chase, Jefferson, Nakua, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, and Malik Neighbors.
Okay, so they had 6 players in there. They got 6 in there?
They have 6.
Okay, so then they're 1. So the one player that they added to their top tier, if I could have had 6, would have been the Brown Nakua situation, because you see how that's kind of like at the end for me. The Brown and Nakua. If I could have added 1 more, Brown and Nakua would have definitely been in that kind of top tier. You know, if I could have had 6 versus 1, so I get that.
Okay. Tier 2: Nico Collins, Brian Robinson Jr., AJ Brown, Thomas. I'm sorry. AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Drake London, and T. Higgins.
Okay, I mean, I like AJ Brown, but you can't really argue with Brian Thomas Jr. Now, there's no Devontae Adams at all.
Not in tier 2. No.
Interesting. Tier 2's okay. I mean, I guess if I've already got one of my tier 1 guys, or if you've already got strong backs, you've already decided, let's say you decide to punt the wide receiver, you go strong back, you go hero, running back, and then you got to start with your wide receiver 1 is like a Nico Collins. It's not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. And what you're seeing a lot of people land on too is Drake London. You've seen Drake London be very popular for that build. A lot of people land on London as their back, or as their wide receiver 1 when they're going with that kind of build.
He's ranked number 11. Drake London.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, tier 3. Lad McConkey, Devontae Adams, Smith Najigaba, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, and Scary Terry.
I like these guys. If you have, it depends on like where you have them at. Like if these are your wide and what your team construction, I guess, is up to this point. If these are your wide receivers, maybe low end 2, high end 3, and this is kind of where when we're talking about the Brees Hall situation, what you're seeing out here with Garrett Wilson here as well. You're seeing a player where typically he'll be going higher, but because of Justin Fields being the quarterback, he's being downgraded a bit because Vegas just doesn't project a lot for this Jets offense. So it's understandable. I'll say that it's understandable, and I feel I can't really knock that once you get past wide receiver 3s. There's just so much depth here, man. Because you haven't even mentioned guys. We haven't even gone into guys like Williams.
I'm gonna give you one more tier because I know you have to go, and so I'm gonna give you one more tier.
Yeah, because I feel like this is just where you're getting so deep in a draft. Because as we continue to go, we're still a lot of these guys you're naming. You can argue for Garrett Wilson at high wide receiver too. So you've named, what tier are we about to name now?
4.
What tier is coming up? So we're coming up into the 4th tier, right? Yep. We're coming into the 4th tier wide receivers, and we're still finding decent names here. And once you get into the late rounds of running backs, it's not really the same situation here. Running backs, quarterbacks, you kind of punny here. Wide receiver, we're still getting some pretty good names. Let's go into this last tier here that you have.
Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, and Zay Flowers.
Still good. We're still there. We haven't even got to like the Calvin Ridleys and James Williams and other people that I like. We still got players out there that I like that we haven't even named yet. So,
and most of them are. Well, I'll go ahead and give you the tier 5 because most of them are in tier 5. Tier 5: Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jameson Williams, my guy, Travis Hunter, Xavier Worthy, and Jerry Jeudy.
Look at that.
Tier 6 probably still has some guys that might be favorable here. I like Jameson Williams. Everybody knows how I feel about him.
I like him too.
Xavier Worthy, with Rice being suspended for 6 games, you can make a case for him. Jerry Jeudy is about the only viable. Joe Flacco to Jerry Jeudy. We're going to be hearing that. Jalen Waddle. Still. If Tua stays healthy, both of those guys are viable. Devontae Smith, you don't mind having him as a second tier wide receiver. So what do you think about these guys? We're going from Marvin Harrison all the way to Jerry Jeudy.
I'm gonna sum it up here.
4 and 5.
I'm gonna sum it up on the way out here. And what I'm going to say about this is you're seeing the kind of structure breakdown of where I think personally, if you wait on wide receiver, there's better value down the line, as we've just demonstrated. Going into like the tier 6, we're still finding wide receivers that you can respectably put as your wide receiver 2, respectively. You know what I mean? Not a guy that you just throw in there. Like you said, if you have a player like Devontae Smith, if you have, and these players kind of go down here too, because Josh Downs is a player that people like. If you have these guys, your wide receiver 2, 3s in there, you still have players there. Whereas your running backs might be rookies, complete flyers, question marks, when you're getting deep into those drafts. So I think that if nothing else, what the depth of the wide receiver tier tells us is that if you want to wait on this position, it's not going to kill you. Pay attention to where you're drafting, not where you're drafting, but pay attention to how many people that you can put in your lineup, though. Your lineup construction, your roster construction is key here, because if your roster construction is 4 wide receivers, you better start getting in there pretty quick. Because you can have several gone. It can be a run on them at any point. But if you in a league where you can start 3 wide receivers maximum, you got 2 in a flex or something like that, then I feel like you can just wait. I feel like you wait, construct, get a good running back or two, maybe a good tight end, QB or something like that. Or maybe you go in, if you don't like the QBs, you just want to switch the QB position with a wide receiver, then you start your wide receivers. You can have a lot of depth here. And I think that that's what this demonstrates.
All right, man. Well, hey, great talking some fantasy with you. I think Chris will be back next week.
All right. All
Make
right.
sure make sure you get in the sports league on
Yeah,
Smash Up.
Smash Up Sports League. I am definitely in there myself already. This league and this draft with Bill still has not started yet, so I don't know what's going on. I've been a half an hour. I don't know what's going on. I've just set it on auto at this point.
All right, man. Well, hey, have a good one, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
All right, buddy. See you guys
All
later.
right. Have a good one. Yeah. All right, guys. This was week 2 of our fantasy. Actually, week 3 because we did have a draft. But hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.